Good morning. Welcome to Breakfast with Kent for Monday, April 26th, 2021. Brought to you by the great people at Today's Dentistry. I tell you every day, you got to take great care of your teeth, and the first step toward doing that, getting a great dentist. Dr. Mike O'Neill, the only dentist I've seen the last 27 years, take control of your dental health. Make an appointment, 317-849-2933. Make sure and hit subscribe, like, ring the bell. Let's talk about sports on this Monday morning. The Colts, they are roughly 72 hours from the first round of the NFL draft, and this is a big draft for the Colts. The Colts have a couple of big holes to fill, important holes to fill. And so let's talk to Chris Ballard. Chris Ballard spoke to us on Friday, so I want to return the favor and speak to Chris Ballard on this Monday and give him some pieces of advice for this draft. Is that a little bit bold? Me giving advice to the general manager of the Indianapolis Colts? You know what? Sometimes common sense needs to be advanced to a general manager. He's got all the information, but you know what? We know how to do this. This isn't difficult. For God's sake, this isn't calculus. This is basic math. This is Mo 14. At Indiana University. So let's talk about the basic math of this draft and give Chris Ballard some advice. Number one, don't take another cornerback. Don't do it. In the first round, second round, don't take a cornerback. If the draft board tells you to take a cornerback, do not listen to the draft board. Because here's the thing. Chasing that position in the draft has done you no good so far. 2 second-round picks utilized, Quincy Wilson, Rock Ya-Sin. All right? Rock Ya-Sin may get it turned around. We're going to find out. In his third year, we're going to find out exactly who Rock Ya-Sin is. But so far, a lot of penalties, some blown coverages. You need a quarterback who is going to force the opposing quarterback, to hold on to the ball a little bit longer so edge rushers can get to the quarterback. Rock Ya-Sin, in college, this was pointed out to me on Friday, and it's so true. You know what? In college, a blown coverage where you reach and you hold, you interfere. You know what? The penalty for that's 15 yards in college. Penalty for that in the NFL can be 60, 70 yards. It's a big deal. Chasing the quarterback because you've missed twice, if Rock Ya-Sin is indeed a miss, that's a mistake. All right? Number two, clever's good in moderation. Don't be too clever. You have got to come out of this draft with the starting left tackle, and you've got to get help on the edge in this draft. If you get too clever and you miss the boat in getting the guy that you want as the starting left tackle, and you don't get the potential at edge rush that you could have gotten if you hadn't gotten clever, you know what? That'd be a shame. That'd be a real shame. If you go into the season with Sam Tevi as your starting left tackle, you have been derelict in your duty to protect Carson Wentz. And there is nobody on this team more important to the winning and losing for this franchise than Carson Wentz. His health is paramount, and protecting him with a quality left tackle that is gained in this draft is absolutely crucial, unless you're amenable to moving either Braden Smith or Quentin Nelson to that spot at left tackle. Wait until the third or fourth round to draft a wide receiver. Wide receivers are tough. You know what? You've got about as good a chance at drafting a starting level wide receiver in the third round as you do in the first round. So don't take one in the first round. Last first round wide receiver that the Colts took, Philip Dorsett. Didn't work out so good. However, Reggie Wayne was also taken in the first round. And here's the deal. When Reggie Wayne was drafted, the Colts had needs. They ignored the needs, and they drafted to a position that was already strong because of Marvin Harrison. They already had a strong number one. They used another number one draft pick to draft Reggie Wayne, who might also wind up going to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So, while waiting to draft a wide receiver, I think is really, really smart. Every once in a while, you catch lightning in a barrel, and you wind up with exactly the right guy. Edge rusher Joe Tryon might be the guy. He fits the mold of a quality edge rush guy. Out of Washington, He can get to the quarterback. He is disruptive. He's got kind of a tool. He's one of those guys. He's a jack of all trades and master of none. At this point, he is very, very aggressive. He doesn't have the physical characteristics of Jalen Phillips or Jason Away. However, he is going to be a good, really good edge rush guy right out of the crate, where it might take Away maybe 2-3 years to develop the toolbox necessary to be a high-quality edge guy. That's not the case maybe with Joe Tryon. Joe Tryon might be the best rookie edge in this draft. Not going to be the best overall edge in this draft come 2, 3, 4 years down the road. But in this draft, he might wind up being the best rookie of the bunch. Here's another piece of advice. Don't let criticism affect you personally if you're Chris Ballard. Don't get down about the media and fans judging you by the picks that you miss. This is the way it works. With, you know what, when people evaluate Ryan Grigson, who do they talk about? They talk about Dorsett, right? They talk about Bjorn Werner. They talk about the Trent Richardson trade. That's what they talk about. They don't talk about trading up to get T.Y. Hilton in the third. They don't do that. They talk about Jack Mewhort. They don't talk about Ryan Kelly. You know, this isn't fair, the way you're perceived. You're perceived by your misses, not your makes. Brian Whitney. Hello, Brian. How are you? Good to talk to you. With Bill Polian, we tend to talk about Mike Doss, Idris Bashir, right? We talk about Tony Hugo, Tim Jennings, Mike Pollock, Fili Moala. We don't talk about Reggie Wayne as a first rounder. We don't talk about Dallas Clark. We don't talk about the great ones. We talk about the bad ones. That's the way it is. And Bill Polian in the second round was terrible. Not a good guy when it came to second round picks. Never a good guy with second round picks. First round picks, pretty good. Third round picks, fourth round picks, occasionally really good. Obviously, he's a Pro Football Hall of Famer. But you look at Bill Polian, all right? You know what you had? You had, when he was with Buffalo, he had Jim Kelly. When he was with Carolina, he had the brains to draft Kerry Collins. When he was with the Colts, he had to draft Peyton Manning. He had no choice. So he, while being the general manager for 3 separate franchises and being very successful with all of them, he had franchise quarterbacks at every step of the way. That's Bill Polian, smart enough to get that quarterback. Maybe Carson Wentz is that guy for the Colts. Indiana got better by comparison over the weekend. Indiana basketball, good weekend for Indiana basketball because I think they passed up Rutgers. Rutgers lost Montez Mathis, a guard. He transferred from Rutgers to St. John's. As teams in the Big Ten lose guys, Indiana moves up by comparison. That's where Indiana is. They're full. The roster's full. They got 13 guys. There's no more adding unless they subtract, and I don't think they're going to subtract, so they're done. This is your roster, Indiana fans. And so what Mike Woodson is hoping is that guys like Montez Mathis, that they leave their Big Ten universities and they go somewhere else. Mathis, a starting level guard, and so that he's gone from the conference is a good thing for the Hoosiers. Will Xavier Johnson, Parker Stewart, Tamar Bates, Logan Duncombe, are they going to be good enough to compensate for the losses of Armand Franklin, Joey Brunk, and Al Durham? We're going to find out. These guys, how are they going to fit together? Fit's important. You can't force fit. If it don't fit, don't force it. Let your hand slide in the groove. That's college basketball, right? Great song about college basketball roster management. Will Mike Woodson be an upgrade over Archie Miller? That is a ridiculous question. Of course, he is going to be an upgrade. Has to be an upgrade. Ballard did on Friday admit that luck is absolutely necessary for success. Absolutely he did. And you have to get lucky. You have to, if you're going to take a guy like Ben Banigou, right, or Kamoko Toure, where there's upside. And this is the same thing with Jason Away from Penn State. There's upside there. But what you wind up every once in a while having to deal with is poor health. How about Paris Campbell? It could have been, if Paris Campbell could have stayed healthy, that Ballard would look like a genius for taking him over Terry McLaurin and Metcalf. However, that's not the case because Paris Campbell hasn't been able to stay on the field. So, Chris Ballard, unlucky? Yes. Doesn't look like he made the right choice at wide receiver? No, it doesn't. And that's because of luck. There you go. Did he need Andrew Luck? Was that bad luck? Yes, but only to a point. Like that excuse for the Colts not being as good as fans demand they be, that Jim Irsay demand they be, you can't let him off the hook that easily, Chris Ballard. You just can't. You got to deal with it. How many GMs for how many teams are dealing with that kind of bad fortune? Plenty of them. So, yeah, a healthy Cam would have changed everything, would change everything. Maybe he can get healthy, maybe he can stay healthy, but bad health usually portends bad health. You don't get healthier over the course of an NFL career. Very, very rarely does that happen. Pacers, they won last night, 132-112 over the Magic. Magic are hot garbage. They are terrible. Brissett, Sampson, and Sumner started. There you go. But if you got a guy like Justin Holiday hitting 6 of 8 from beyond the arc, you're going to win some games. So the Pacers have won 3 games in a row. They are only a game out of 8th, 1 game out of 8th. They play Portland at home tomorrow night. Let's see if the Pacers can get on a little roll, head into the playoffs with some momentum. We'll find out. Washington is playing their asses off. They've won a bunch in a row, and the Pacers have Washington twice coming down the stretch. Those are going to be important games. They've got Toronto also. Toronto is trying to nose their way into the playoff race. We'll see what happens. The Derby, it's Derby week. If you're in Louisville, the Louisville area, you know that this is the week where Louisville is really a fun city to live in. It all of a sudden kind of pivots, becomes fun. It's enjoyable. You're kind of the epicenter of the sports universe, at least on Saturday, for 2 minutes beginning at about 6:56. Butler got a transfer this weekend or a little bit later last week. Ty Gross from Eastern Michigan, 15 points a game, 7 rebounds a game, 6'8", 215. Really, really good. A grad eligible. They're all eligible, right? But he played 4 years at Eastern Michigan. He's got his COVID year left to invest with the Butler Bulldogs. Butler got better with the addition of Gross. Edward Abbott celebrating a birthday. Diana Plummer Crombie celebrating a birthday, the great Diana Plummer. Bill Walsh, happy birthday. The great David Russ, Camp Menominee alumni. The great Charles Flynn, attorney at law. I'll tell you what, the Cathedral team in 2004 did not win the city championship. However, they led the city tournament in attorneys-to-be, including the one Charles Flynn. Jeremy Ciano, happy birthday. The great Taylor Ware, celebrating a birthday. William Wilhelm, Joe Hess, Kurt Kraft, Bradford Bruns, celebrating a birthday. And J.R. Moore, happy birthday. If today's your birthday, you celebrate like hell. If it's not your birthday, yeah, Derby schedulers, yeah. But for Saturday in May, that's what you do. Right, that's just when the Derby's run. You don't run it any other time unless you got a COVID year like we had last year. For Saturday in May is the Derby. That the draft falls on that day, you know what? What are you going to do? Plus, it's the 3rd day of the draft, so the 7th round will be mostly concluded or entirely concluded by the time we get to the Derby at about 6:50 on Saturday afternoon. But good point, Brian. If today's your birthday, you celebrate like hell. If it's not your birthday, you celebrate somebody else. That's best done with an honest and specific compliment. Take good care of each other. Lift each other up. You know what? Life is not about fighting battles in the macro. It's about one at a timing it. If you take care of each other, take care of one person today. Make one person's life a little bit better today. If we all do that, that lifts society. Let's do some of that, should we? Yes, we should. A little bit later today, we'll talk again about the draft all week long. We're talking about the draft. We'll talk about Indiana. Also, Indiana football got a big commit, a switcheroo from Ohio State to Indiana, which brings up the point. If you're going to hire an assistant coach to replace a really, really good assistant coach like Mike Hart left for Michigan, Indiana hires Coach McCullough to be the running backs coach. He's got a lot of kids who play high school football at a really high level and are high-level recruits. Go ahead and hire assistant coaches with a lot of talented kids. That is some advice from me to you if you're a college football coach. We'll talk to you a little bit later today. Can't wait.